Mr. Five here.
Yo, you know what? You are the worst, yo.
What?
Hey, how y'all doing, man? Mr. Five here. How y'all doing? New York. I'm just making a quick video about the power grab that Mayor Adams is attempting to do with this new proposition that's on the back of your ballot, right? So when you're voting this year, usually I do a huge video about politics and what candidates and what they've done in the community and how they've impacted, and I just don't have the energy and the will to do that this year. But this is very serious, right? This power grab, and I say it's a power grab because the laws that Proposition 2 to 6 would support in this city is going to impact this city perpetually.
On 2 through 6 to be burned into your brain by the end of this video.
Eric Adams is proposing 6 propositions to change the charter of New York City. The charter is our constitution. Why does this matter? Well, we've been talking about the 1800s in New York City, and we know another mayor who tried to change the charter, and that was Fernando Wood, our pro-Confederacy, pro-secessionist man who literally got arrested during his tenure as mayor. Also tried to change the charter. Now, these propositions 2 through 6 are actually reducing the checks and balances between city council and the mayor and government agencies that are doing their jobs in New York City. Let's talk about them. The first one is our Equal Rights Amendment, basically protecting anyone of any race, gender, religion, creed, class. That is a good one. Let's vote yes on number 1. And if you want to learn more, I'm going to post a link in my, either on the comments or somewhere, so that you can actually read all of these, right? Proposition 2 is going to be about sanitation. The sanitation department is going to expand their purview. They're going to be able to ticket vendors. We're not talking about hot dog vendors with licenses. We're talking about people who sell dollar water bottles, cut mango slices, churros, things like that. And this is going to disproportionately affect our migrant communities. Why do they have to have these jobs? Because we brought them here. We did not give them the tools to get an air quotes real job. Yeah, and that's why they have to sell candy, and that's why they have to sell water bottles and mangoes and things like that, because we did not set them up for success, okay? It's going to be bad. Number 3 is about budgeting. The budgeting process in New York City is insane. Why? We have a $96 billion budget. It is bigger than 130 countries. Bonkers, okay? What it is proposing is that every city council member who wants to add something to the budget talks has to give the mayor a fiscal impact statement prior to the budget conversation. The mayor has to respond in kind with information that they need for that fiscal impact statement. Therefore, if the mayor's office chooses to not give city council members the information they need, they cannot bring it to the budget talks. Opponents of number 3 are going to say that this is giving the mayor's office a de facto veto, because basically they just withhold information and say, oh, well, you never got it to us on time, so we can't talk about it. Number 4, this is going to be about public safety. This is NYPD, FDNY, Department of Corrections, any sort of legislation around that. Now, the idea here is that if your city council is bringing up legislation around this, they need 30 days of public hearings to decide if they actually need to make this legislation happen. Why is this happening? 2 bills were passed this year. City council passed a bill saying that they need more information, more color into what the NYPD's low impact interactions with citizens are. Now, we see the videos. We see the videos of people getting brutalized by the NYPD and even shot, right? But they're asking for more data around their day-to-day actions. The second bill, banning solitary confinement. Mayor Adams vetoes both. City council overrides both of those vetoes. Now they're saying that ballot question 4 is a direct response to that. And realistically, the mayor should not be able to dictate this type of legislation. He should not be able to bring public hearings around all the things that city council are doing to protect their own citizens from the NYPD and the Department of Corrections, because we know that the Department of Corrections is absolutely sideways, left, right. That is why Rikers is closing, because people keep not making it out of there, and they should be. You should not be unalived in any sort of prison. And so many are being unalived in our Department of Corrections right now. So that's Prop 4. Number 5 is capital planning. Capital planning is about how we spend our money, specifically around, it seems like it's specifically around infrastructure. They're basing this information off of Brad Lander, our city comptroller's statements around the fact that we don't have enough clarity and color into what we're spending our money on. But what he says to refute this, and this is a quote, again, I will post this link that I'm getting this from. This proposal is meaningless. It does not advance transparency. It fails to improve the city's capital planning in any way. Like the commission's rushed process and other recommendations, it is simply a cynical effort to distract New Yorkers. He says it's not enough. It's probably not. Let's be honest. We've got bridges, tunnels, the MTA. We've got so many roads. So many things need to be planned for over the next couple of years, right? Especially as we see an uptick in hurricanes coming further north and further inland and things like that. We need to make sure that we have the money to do the things that we need to keep the people safe here and keep everything that we do livable and comfortable. And Brad Lander is saying that this is not enough, so I'm going to also vote no on that one. The last one I don't really understand. This is what it says. The proposal would amend the city charter to establish the chief business diversity officer and authorize mayor to designate the office that issues film permits and combines archive boards. Basically, the mayor's office is getting power over who's filming where and also combining archive. I don't understand this, and if you can't explain it to me well enough to vote yes or no, I'm going to vote no, frankly. So this commission that created all of these propositions is handpicked by the mayor. They have a lot of conversations with real New Yorkers, and the numbers are not big. You know, they're not taking really big straw polls or anything like that. It's very small, and it is very specific to change the way that city council and the mayor's office operate and give the mayor more power.
And it's only going to set up for this. It's going to set up for future mayors. So I just want to explain a little bit of details with that, right? The ask and what you need to do if you want to help this city and be more progressive is to vote no on Prop 2 to 6. Straight up. Vote no on Prop 2 to 6. And what you need to know. New York City's democracy is at stake. A slate of 5 bad proposals, basically Prop 2 to 6, will be on November 5th ballot.
You've heard a lot about, maybe too much. Then there's the not so obvious, which will be on the back of the ballot. You could call it the fine print. The Board of Elections calls them propositions.
These ballot measures are a power grab.
City Council member Pierina Sanchez is one of more than 40 elected officials trying to warn New Yorkers about propositions 2 through 6. While they cover different topics, critics call it a rushed process that is a blatant move by Mayor Eric Adams to tip the balance of power in his own favor.
It inserts them into the legislative process in a way that, again, is undemocratic because we're the legislators for a reason. You are the administrator, we are the legislators. That is a separation of powers.
The Charter Revision Committee tells Fox 5 their proposals were well thought out and reflect the needs of New Yorkers, and that the process, though short, was not rushed. City council members and advocacy groups, including No Power Grab NYC, strongly disagree, saying if Props 2 through 6 pass, it will lead to more corruption and make the city less responsive to everything ranging from education to public safety.
We don't need a mayor's office that is going to try to do all of the functions of government without any kind of checks and balances. That's part of what actually leads to corruption in the first place.
Now, proposals 2 to 6 are a sneaky move. It's a little sneaky move by Mayor Adams to change New York City's constitution to give the mayor more unchecked power. Remember when he couldn't stop solitary? Remember he couldn't stop the bills that Giuliani had passed about police arrests, accountability, housing. If he changes the constitution of the state, then he doesn't have to do all that. He can just be more of a dictatorship. One of the problems, as we see with Mayor Adams, is his ability to just bypass rules and regulations because his braggiosious sort of style of just creating law. If it doesn't abide by him, he will change the law to fit him. The UN said, you have to end torture. We've been doing this for decades before you was even in existence as an officer. And he said, you know what? I'll create another UN. I'll make a whole nother UN rather than abiding by the laws and rules that impact Black and brown people every year and cost this city millions of dollars that we pay. So back to proposals 2 to 6. So one, this new constitution will, it weaken checks and balances to take power away from everyday New Yorkers. In other words, we can check the mayor and say, you know what, this officer that has so many complaints, we need him to be accountable, or this officer has harmed these people in which he's a city official or he's a city officer. So we want to sue that person. We want to sue the city. This will take away all those abilities. You understand me? And so even while his administration has, subject of multiple corruption probes right now, and even though the mayor has been indicted on these terms and actually in court himself, we have to unite to defend New York City and defend the power against it. So the background, at the start of the summer, Mayor Adams convened a Charter Review Commission to knock a proposal from the city council in November ballot. The Charter Commission packed the mayor's whorehouse, to sort of push back against it. But he conducted a sham process. Think of like empty rooms with like no one in it. With the exception of 2 had put 5 questions on the ballot for the November that could change New York City's charter. Basically, New York City's constitution for generations, you know?
Here's the problem. Most New Yorkers vote in favor of propositions they find on the ballot on Election Day. And critics say studies show right now most New Yorkers do not know about propositions 2 through 6. So if they're making their decision in the voting booth on Election Day, they're likely to give Mayor Adams exactly what he wants.
2 through 6 are harmful, they're not well thought out, and they change the balance of power here in the city of New York. They're super problematic.
So while many will be locked in to see who voters put in the White House on Election Day, in the city, many will also be looking to see if New Yorkers grant the mayor big changes to the city's charter, which is essentially the city's constitution.
Now, critics say there's a glaring issue here that passing these propositions right now would expand powers for a mayor who has been criminally indicted, with several members of his administration also plagued by criminal investigations right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the mayor certainly received a lot of criticism for sort of getting this charter commission together to rush through these changes to consolidate his own power, as you alluded to.
Right. So it took them 7 weeks to do it. The critics say that's not enough time for both the people who have to vote on it, who are part of that commission, and also for New Yorkers to sort of digest what it's about and give their feedback. That's a crucial part of the process. They say it was too fast. The Charter Commission tells Fox 5 that they cited examples from 2002 and earlier where the process actually took place faster, but to have to go back more than 2 decades to find examples of it, maybe not the best supporting argument.
Yeah, fair point. All right.
Prop 2 to 6 is out of a rushed sham process of having them on the ballot makes a mockery of democracy. In other words, we didn't even ask that this should be voted on as a majority. So 2 through 6, we're breaking down the no power grab of New York City. We don't want the mayor to have this power. It's unchecked, unregulated power that he would change the Constitution. Basically, the laws he don't want to be accountable for, he can just stop and say, you know what? I don't have to be accountable for them. I'm just going to change the Constitution. That means that I have to be accountable for them, right? So proposal 2 is cleaning up public property. It's worded to seem innocent, but it's misleading. It will lead to more enforcement, fines against small businesses. It's an inhumane attack on the city streets vendors and others who should be supported, not criminalized, right? It also allows those people who hold vendor licenses to sublet them and sublease them to others, which is victimizing poor New Yorkers and poor retailers and small businesses, right? Proposal 3. This makes it harder for government to deliver to New Yorkers. In other words, it's described as additional estimates of the cost of proposed laws and updates to budget deadlines. This sounds harmless, but intentionally misleading. It would weaken our democracy. It creates a new way for mayors to block and derail legislation they don't like and gives them bureaucratic cover so that they don't have to publicly oppose popular opinion. He doesn't have to when he can just secretly check and he has the power to say, I don't have to address it, right? But now, as a mayor, he's accountable to the New Yorkers. This is going to make the New Yorkers accountable to the mayor. Kind of a backwards flip. It gives the public and oversight bodies less time to analyze and respond to the mayor's budget proposals. When you put a budget proposal, that's what it is. We're going to do it. We have to do it. It's passed. It's done. There is no input from New Yorkers. There is no input from legislators. There is no input from any oversight. And think about the cuts to libraries as an example, right? Like he cut the library system. There was a lot of pushback. This new system, he would cut it. That would be it. It'd be fine. Matter of fact, we wouldn't even know he cut it. It just would come out the budget. Proposal number 4 makes it harder to hold officers accountable and will hurt New Yorkers. It would fundamentally change the way that laws regulated the police department, the Department of Corrections, the fire department, and only these agencies, only these enforcement agencies, right? It's passed by New York City Council, and it creates special rights by NYPD and Department of Corrections to avoid transparency and accountability. In other words, officer does something, fire department's liable, or correctional officers do something to harm you or your family members, you can't do nothing about it. Gives them amenability. It gives them immunity, and it also gives them sort of inalienable rights to be charged for anything. Proposal number 5 is misleading and was created in bad faith. The Mayor's Charter Commission claimed that Proposal 5 was based on a recommendation from the city's controller, which is not true. You can ask Larry Lander himself, the city's top financial executive, but the controller issued a statement saying that it was false, right? And that this was a transparency false attempt to lend credibility to misleading, meaningless measure. The controller said that Prop 5 is meaningless and fails to improve the city's capital planning process in any way. So if anything, it's only going to delay those planning processes and allow the plans that he wants to move forward. Proposition 6, which is very important, is a collection of 3 totally unrelated items. It claims to support minority and women-owned businesses, MWBEs, but really only renames and largely restates the role of mayoral office. And so this gives the illusion of change without additional concrete support for minority women business owners, right? What this does is allows the mayor to have control over that. This doesn't allow the independent businesses that are owned by Black women, which is a minority, to get the support and the resources they need. You see, all of these sort of changes that he wants to make is to make a city abide by what he wants to do, instead of him doing actions and lawful actions that he's supposed to abide by. So if I can not have to follow rules and regulations by dismissing the rules or transforming the rules to give me more power, and this will affect future generations, right? These proposals, these props would also impact other mayors' ability to have more power and say, I don't have to be held accountable. And as a dictator, in some sense, I don't have to listen to New Yorkers and I'm not held accountable. I don't have to change things because they want me to change it. I don't even have to listen to you. Number 2, everybody under my purview, the enforcement, militarized system, which is the police, the fire department, the correction, they all have unaccountability. They can do what they want to do, and you don't even have to have the ability to have oversight on them. So each one of these proposals, 2 to 6, is weakening New York's ability to be a democracy. Is one thing we come together. If we have a problem with it, we have no problem shutting down the city and rallying against it and creating the change that we want. This limits us from doing that. This will be a city and a state that is more restricted than what we have now. Our goal is to increase that, not decrease that. So what we saying? No power grab, and do not vote no on Prop 2 to 6 this November. Mr. 5, thank you. You got something to say over here? No? No side comments for the side? No side comments over there? Kind of quiet? All right. I'm out of here alone, y'all. They just camera shy. Love y'all. Peace. Hey, Mr. 5 here. And I'm bringing about an issue that I want to raise attention to. And, you know, we're calling it a no power grab campaign, right? Because what we're saying is that Proposition 2 to 6 will impact New Yorkers and the ability for New Yorkers to be New Yorkers and have an expression, hold a mayor accountability, it'll increase his power, it'll increase his oversight, it'll lacken and weaken his responsibility and his ability to answer to everyday New Yorkers and city council and other legislators. It's like our city's democracy is at stake. I'm just going to be honest with you, right? A slate of 5 bad proposals, Props 2 to 6, will be on the November 5th ballot. We want to vote no on every